17 names among the million registrants that they cleaned up. 17 names that they cleaned up under the National Voter Registration Act. And they came back and you know what they had to confess thanks to our lawsuit? Oh, we gave the federal agency that collects this data the wrong information. It's different numbers. And you know what the problem is? Pennsylvania, the state, has one set of numbers and the counties have a second set of numbers. It's now about 30 days before the election, and the leftist efforts, in my view, to disrupt our whole process of voting by significantly increasing the opportunities for voter fraud and chaos on election day are now in full swing. The mailing of the ballots to people who haven't asked for them are going out. 51 million ballots in total. I think it's now 49 million ballot applications are being mailed out to people who haven't asked for them. As Judicial Watch has documented, the lists across the United States are filthy, meaning there are more people on the rolls than are eligible to vote, and which is an indication that they're not cleaning the rolls as necessary, meaning that those ballot applications and ballots will be going out to people who aren't there or didn't ask for them or died and moved away. So you're going to have the system awash in opportunities for voter fraud. We had new information come out thanks to our great friends at Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, where he videotaped evidence of ballot harvesting that was illegal and actually vote buying. And of course, that is exactly why experts have long advised that absentee ballots and mail-in ballots are riskier in terms of voter fraud, because vote buying schemes are harder to detect when you don't have people showing up at the polls. Voter intimidation is harder to detect because obviously no one's watching what's going on behind closed doors. And on top of that, given the kind of tsunami of mail ballots and our previous experience just as recently as this year with the mishandling of those ballots by election officials because they're not prepared, we're going to have major problems, it looks like. In New Jersey, during the primary, you had an 8% rejection rate for ballots coming in. In New York, in one jurisdiction, it was as high as 25% initially. And what is the left solution? Well, we'll just count ballots for days and weeks after Election Day. Now, you're smart enough to know that when you allow ballots to come in after Election Day and be counted with or without a postmark, that encourages voter fraud and encourages people to game the process. In California, they'll be counting ballots 17 days after Election Day. In Minnesota, they'll be counting ballots 7 days after Election Day. The left is trying to get courts to change the rules to allow post-election day counting of mail-in ballots. And Judicial Watch is doing its part, besides educating you, by trying to make sure the rolls are cleaner and educating Americans that these rolls need to be cleaned up. We successfully pursued litigation in California in that it resulted in a settlement that was requiring LA County to clean up as many as 1.6 million ballots, 6 million names off the rolls that shouldn't be there. Now, that's going to take a long time to do. So in the meantime, they're still there. The state still has too many people on the rolls. And why is that a concern? Because these inactive voters, even technically though they may not get a ballot, and that's not assured, they can request a ballot, or someone in their name potentially can request a ballot. It's a pool of names from which fraudsters can draw upon to engage in fraud. And in addition, the fact that the lists are so dirty, it suggests that the active names aren't as clean as they need to be. In Washington, D.C., there's someone posted online that one person got 8 ballots at an address. In New York, you had ballots misprinted. 100,000 ballots are out there. I don't know how they're going to fix it. So they're sending, it's so pernicious what's going on, sending these ballots out to people who haven't asked for them. It is so pernicious, and it's disappointing the Justice Department hasn't done anything to stop it. And so what's the left planning? I mean, there was the debate this week, and the president's being forced to say whether he'll leave office voluntarily or will he accept the peaceful transfer of power. Well, if he loses, of course he will. But if the election is disputed, why would he accept the outcome? He's saying, why is he supposed to leave office or not challenge the results if there's reason to challenge them? That's what they want him to do. I mean, the left has said on election day, it may look like President Trump wins. And if we count the ballots after the fact and to change the outcome of the results, you're not allowed to question how that happened. And you know what's even worse? The big tech social companies are saying that if you do raise questions about it, you will be deleted. YouTube has already deleted a Judicial Watch video because we raised questions about voter fraud. We raised questions about the veracity of the lists. This is an unprecedented attack or unprecedented intervention in elections on behalf of, frankly, one candidate and one ideology. Judicial Watch is a nationally recognized expert on election issues. And these leftists and big tech companies are going to be suppressing information about the risks to clean elections for ideological reasons. It's not fact-based, it's ideological. We have former, our Bob Popper as our lead election law lawyer. He's a former civil rights attorney in the Justice Department. He was deputy chief of the voting section under the Barack Obama Justice Department. We have another attorney, Russ Nobile, who also worked in the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. And they're telling us we don't know what we're talking about, and they're going to delete us and censor us. And of course, they're already censoring the president. Twitter's mislabeling information about the safety and security of mail-in ballots. You are more likely to have your vote intercepted, compromised, challenged, thrown out, or lost if you vote by mail. That's a fact. And to say otherwise is misleading people into using a less secure way to vote. I don't know, maybe they'll delete this video too. I don't know. So as I said, we've sued Pennsylvania and North Carolina to clean up their rolls just this year. Between the two states, there are nearly 2 million extra names on the rolls, as we've uncovered. 2 million extra names on the rolls. In Pennsylvania, of course, what happens is you sue and the other side pushes back. And in both states, we have leftists trying to challenge us as well. So it's us versus multiple legal teams. And in Pennsylvania, it's 800,000 extra names, it looks like, on the rolls. And Pennsylvania comes back to us because we looked at their information. There are three big counties, Bucks County, Chester, and Delaware County. Among the one, let's see, it's 4 and 4 is 8 and 3. It's about one over 1.1 million names, about at least over 1 million names, registrations among them. They removed just 8 and 5 is 13, 17 names among the million registrants that they cleaned up. 17 names that they cleaned up under the National Voter Registration Act. And they came back and you know what they had to confess thanks to our lawsuit? Oh, we gave the federal agency that collects this data the wrong information. It's different numbers. And you know what the problem is? Pennsylvania, the state, has one set of numbers and the counties have a second set of numbers. So there's no evidence that they're valid. And even the numbers they came back with aren't enough to show that they're doing anything in terms of what they need to be doing in cleaning up the rolls, meaning it's just a small portion of the names that are likely needed to be cleaned up. And they also confirmed that among 18 counties that have 25% of the registrations, they've removed a total of 15 names under this NVRA process. And by NVRA process, I mean they need to take steps that if someone doesn't show up in an election, they send them a card, where are you? If they don't respond to the card or otherwise don't vote in at least 2 election cycles, so that could be, let's say 5, maybe potentially 6 years, they remove them from the rolls. So they're removing, according to their own filings, only 15 names for a quarter of the registration population under that process. The rolls in Pennsylvania are a mess. They've confessed it. So what's the solution? Follow the law. It's simple, as I described, to begin cleaning up the names. In Allegheny County, when we warned them before we started suing, Allegheny County, they said, okay, yeah, we'll remove 69,000 names, and they did it in one fell swoop because they knew they hadn't followed the rules. They already knew they had 69,000 names that had already lapsed in a way that allowed them to be removed. Just follow the rules. It doesn't disenfranchise anyone. It just makes sure the rolls are cleaner. When you have dirty rolls, it can lead to dirty elections. The reason the law requires the names be cleaned up is to help ensure and reassure the public that the administration of the elections are fair and honest, and that they're conducted in a way that it quite reasonably mitigates the opportunities or quite reasonably restricts or curtails the opportunities for fraud. So we have more litigation coming to try to clean up the rolls. I'll tell you about that next week. But you can see the litigation itself is highlighting the fact that we need to have the rolls cleaned up, and the fact that they're dirty is just making it more likely that there'll be problems on election day related to people having confidence in the outcome. So that's a big deal.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.